My name is Brian Panhuyzen, and my company is Neutrino Data Systems.
Awesome. All right, Brian, what was your experience at Pause this year?
Well, it was my first year of pause, and I've been wanting to go for a long time, but things always seem to get in the way, interfere, various reasons why I wasn't able to go. So I was glad to finally be able to go and very excited because I had been sort of pent up for so long, my desire to go. And I know Alan Poole pretty well, that we've worked together on some projects and stuff. We subcontracted the same person in Vancouver. So it was exciting also just to get to meet Alan for the first time and a bunch of other people that I've just met online as well. I had an amazing time. It was just one of the best experiences of my adult life. That just felt like I think the goal was to make it like a summer camp, and that's precisely what it was. More of a retreat than a conference, I would say. I didn't really open my laptop very much, and I had a lot of conversations that were less technical, but still maybe still about business and human interaction with people. It can be a tough job where you are just sitting alone in your space and working on things, and maybe just dealing with your clients entirely online or just through email. I tend to do a lot of stuff just by email because I'm very comfortable in that medium, and I always like to have a written record of what we discussed, what the work is that I'm being asked to do. So to break out of that completely and to meet a lot of people that I have actually spoken to, like in forums and stuff like that, and to get some of their information directly, and to even just express my appreciation to certain people live, in their face was really great. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm definitely going to come back next year.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, you stood up a couple of times and mentioned you were pretty introverted. So what did that feel like for you, just being in a not being your first year and maybe not knowing what you were getting into?
Yeah, it was a challenge, and I mean, some people were like, "Oh, you're not really an introvert," They were very skeptical because of the way that I was, but the way that I was, very much like, somebody saying, "I'm not really a swimmer, but I'm just going to jump in the water and see what happens," and that's
Sure.
kind of what I did. I'm fighting against an identity that I kind of created for myself, which I'm actually really starting to realize after pause that is not really accurate, maybe, or doesn't have to be, that it was just something that I had formed in my mind that doesn't have to be true. Which is, I mean, that's where I feel like pause was a little bit life changing for me, because I have since then I've been like, I went to a party last week and there were some almost nobody I knew, and yet I got into a couple of conversations with people that maybe I would have not been able to do before pause. That allowed me just to have a bit more confidence like that, and to worry less about the way that people were perceiving me, and just to be myself a little bit. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so I was quite nervous before I went and before I arrived, and then slowly that kind of melted as I walked into this very welcoming environment that just felt like it was okay to be myself in.
That's so great. I love
Yeah.
that. Are there conversations or sessions that really stood out to you while you were there?
Um, yeah, it's hard to just to pinpoint one thing because there were so many things. I mean, I loved it when we were all a group, at the amphitheater, or when you and Chrissy were just um, talking. You guys were a pleasure just to sit, and it really brought us together. The stuff that you were saying, and so I loved anytime we assembled like that as a big group. I loved having the meals with people, and always having, like, I always tried to sit with somebody different, instead of just the lunchroom, right? It's like in high school, you just like go for your friends there. But
Yeah.
so I think I had lots of kind of informal conversations. with a lot of different people about stuff. Marcus, who's from Victoria, who's also somebody that I worked with a little bit, who subcontracts to the same person who I met for the first time. He had a session which was just out on the lawn, and it was kind of like, what are the problems that you face? And it was like such an open question. Like that's what I really appreciated about it. And so we got into some technical stuff, but we also got into like dealing with clients and just general emotions and feelings. I know that Marcus is a clinical psychologist, so I think he kind of managed that session pretty well, like a psychologist as well as a tech. So it had a lot of different flavors to it, and everyone was really open, vulnerable, just talking about things that were hard for them, they were having trouble with, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean." There was a lot of community was built in that session, so that really stood up for me. Of course, the campfires are amazing. The music was fantastic. Yeah, it's hard to just pin down one thing because there was a really rich experience there. Just a lot of different things, a variety.
That's awesome. What do you think? You've shared a lot about what you have gotten out of Pause, things that you took home from Pause. What did you bring to Pause? What was it that you brought in that crowd?
I originally thought I was going to bring something technical because I do have like certain areas. The funny thing, I just tell you first of all what I didn't bring, which I thought I was going to bring, which was going to be more of a technical thing. I'm quite experienced in design, so in interface and UX and stuff like that. Sorry, there goes my cat. Kind of an integration of all kinds of aspects, because FileMaker is really it's an experience of so many different skills, and sometimes if you get a large company, I've never worked for a large company, I've always worked on my own, but you get one person who's good at design, and you get one person who's good at scripting, and you get somebody who's good at schema and stuff like that. I do all of those things myself, and I have all these pieces from my experience that I've brought together. I was a typesetter, I've been a designer, I've done web stuff, and so I thought I was going to bring that, and I actually didn't really. I think maybe just what I brought was my curiosity and stuff, to ask questions and to give people platforms. When you ask a question, then they have an opportunity to give you an answer. So I think I was just really open with my curiosity, and I think that helped a lot in a lot of sessions and stuff. I was willing to put up my hand and fill something in or ask a question or something that I think other people had as well. And so I think that's different than what I expected to bring, but it was something that I think I carried in there as well. I think everybody was a little bit amused by me, saying I wanted to meet everyone as well. I think I think that helped other people maybe connect. I don't know, like just to come out and just say, I'm not very good at this, and but I'm willing to give it a go, and I'm hoping that gave some people confidence as well. I certainly met a lot of people who, just came up to me. I think it made me seem very open, and so I think maybe people came to me who wouldn't normally have approached me or even approached other people that much. So I'm hoping that it gave some people some confidence and something to open up to.
Absolutely. I think that being vulnerable in that way, and in a crowd like that, where it is a welcoming crowd, I think it reminds everyone that they're surrounded by people of like mind in that way, right? Like everyone wanted to be their own person. They just weren't sure if they could be their own person. And I think that you definitely opened a door for that. I remember when you stood up the first time, I was impressed with your ability to do that and your comfort to do it. And I think I have no doubt that it inspired people to just be a little bit more of who they are, or to talk to one more person. So kudos to you for doing that. I think it was definitely an add to the conference. Like I think it had an impact for sure.
Right. Okay. It's good to hear.
You mentioned you were a designer and you did typesetting, which I'm fascinated by. What did you think about the idea of Pause as an art project?
Oh, I mean, I love that. I mean, I've always seen that on the website, and I didn't know what that meant. I mean, the 4 minutes and 37 seconds that Adam did was, it was extremely moving. Like at the end of that, it was just like, you could just see it on people's faces that was that was remarkable. That was a remarkable 4 minutes and 37 seconds that we did. I hope I got the time right. 4:37. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I really feel like it's. I mean, I've been having, thinking about it a lot, and I feel like I said, it feels like more of a retreat than a conference. Conference seems very formal, and this was, it's quite informal and very organic. And in a way, I feel like a conference is a very male kind of thing, and a retreat's a much more sort of female kind of thing about community and connection and that kind of thing. And so it felt like that, more kind of sort of in the feminine side, which I'm very comfortable with. I don't know if a lot of men are, but
Sure.
but I certainly am a feminist myself, and my partner's a feminist, and she's a psychotherapist and stuff like that. So a lot of background and kind of I mean, I hear a lot of conversations and stuff like that
Yeah.
about psychology and whatnot. So
Cool.
yeah, so in terms of like the bringing different layers together in the way that an art project can be technical, that there's a technical side to art if you're an artist or something like that. Myself, I'm a writer, so there's a very technical side, but then there's art on top that sits on top of the tech. There's this organic layer. I think it really, in that way, it is an art project. It
Yeah.
is. It's because there's no real structure to it. It's very organic, and it grows out of stuff. There's sessions and stuff like that, but there's a really light touch there, and there's this invitation just to just try things, which is what art is really. It's just like what moves you at the moment, and that's really what it is. So I think you really nailed it, like that it is an art project like that, just by the nature of the way that it's organized, on top of the art that has, that comes out of it as well. I was just like looking at all the photographs and stuff like that
No.
that were in the Slack group as well, and some amazing stuff, people artistically capturing the scene and everything like that. And
Yeah.
it was, really nice to see. So I feel like, there's definitely that art component to it. It's a very kind of a holistic kind of experience like that.
Cool.
So yeah.
One of my favorite moments from last year was when we gave everyone whiteboards and said, "This is your pause device." And last year we made everyone write "Hello World" on the boards, right? It's like, if we're going to be
Right.
technical, this is as technical as it's going to get. And,
Right.
everyone chuckled and wrote it down. And this year I asked people to, check their battery, check their signal. What did you think about having what did you think of your pause device? Did you use it during the event?
I didn't use it that much. The problem is I always came to the sessions after every morning. Alan and I would go for a walk down the road and stuff like that. So we didn't bring anything with us, and then we would
Smart.
always be late, and then we would come straight to it. So I was one of the bad people who had to do everything on my phone, like when I was answering the questions and stuff like that. So
Funny.
I like the idea. It's a cool idea. I loved it when people were putting the little battery and the Wi-Fi
Yeah.
symbol and stuff like that.
Cool.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Good. Oh, I'm glad you guys got walks in though. That's fantastic. So, I mean, that's the beauty
Yes.
of that venue itself is so special.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was gorgeous. That property is amazing.
I know, it really is.
Yeah.
All right, so it was your first year. You said you want to come back. What advice do you have for new future attendees?
I would say to sort of check your expectations at the door, that it's not Claris Engage, in the woods, that really is a whole different creature. To bring your technical side with you, but be fully prepared to sort of engage in emotional conversations, and to be much more vulnerable than you would be if you were like at a regular convention center conference.
Yeah.
That just being in nature and everything like that will ignite things in you that you don't really expect. I mean, that was another thing I hadn't expected, was to be in the country, to arrive, and then we came late, and to get out of the car and to see the stars and everything like that. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, we're out there, this is camp. That was a great moment for me. And then to breathe the air, and the air was so fresh and clean and everything. We've been in the car forever. We had been in Atlanta and stuff like that, but just to step out into that. So
Oh, good.
be prepared for that. That's what I would say for people as well. You know, be prepared to look up in the sky,
Yeah.
and you know, and you're not just looking at your screens, or you're looking everywhere.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about pause before we jump off here?
I just, yeah, just that I had a tremendous time, and I don't know if you know this, but I did read a section of a book that I have that's coming out next year. Something I didn't expect to do at all. You know, I just happened to have my laptop. It was at story time conference. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even mention the storytelling, you know, session that was there. That was great, just to hear everybody's stories and hear people opening up as well. Was great, and just having that opportunity to sort of express this other side of myself, you know, in this place where, you know, you walk in, you're a developer, but that's the thing I always find with FileMaker people, is they always have all these other interests as well.
Right.
You know, their artistic pursuits and stuff like that. That's not just they're not just super technical.
Yeah.
They seem to be very broad-minded and have a lot of diverse skills and stuff like that. And so it was actually really fun just to be able to express that.
That's awesome. Oh, good. Good, good, good. Well, you were a huge part of this year for sure, and I appreciate you standing up and speaking out, and hopefully you got to meet everybody, and I hope you enjoyed your bus notes on the way out.
Oh
Um,
yes.
but I'm really glad you came. Again, I know it's kind of in the middle of nowhere and expectations were different, but thank you for being a part of it and doing the art project with us. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for holding it, and thanks for doing it again next year.
Of course.
And I've got it in the calendar. I've got the registration date, May 8th, in my calendar. I've got the dates. Yeah, I'm not going to miss it.